much. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too. And for being late, you came in dressed appropriate for court. I appreciate that.
That's fine. I was at work.
Okay. Is that Judy Jones? One second, JJ. I'm wondering. Is there anyone else who's ready? Then, Mr. McCray, just let me know when you're ready to proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Not too much longer.
Don't take your time.
Thank you.
Losoya.
Judge, we're conferring about it.
Right. All right, is this gonna be an agreement?
I don't believe so. We're trying to reach a judge, but I'm not sure.
All right. applied for probation. According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 45 years in the prison. There is an affirmative finding of family violence, and the state opposes your application for deferred adjudication. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report, state?
No.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
And the defense counsel did email to the court a report by Dr. Murphy. He included the state in that email as well. Neither party had any objections to the court reviewing that before sentencing. It was the court's understanding both parties wanted to make sure that I had reviewed that. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right, so the court has reviewed the documents that you supplied defense. State, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. We would call Cindy Loma Gonzalez.
All right, if you'll come forward, please.
And Your Honor, we are going to vote the rule.
All right, defense, do you have witnesses in the room?
Yes, Mr. Beltran and Mr. Mendoza.
All right, Mr. Beltran and Mr. Mendoza.
Stand up.
The rule has been invoked, and what that means is you can't do anything about this case. Sorry, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you cannot review anything about this case. You can't watch witnesses' testimony. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
When they testify, you'll have to go into the hallway.
All right, so you'll wait in the hallway. All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand. Have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up so that I can hear, or the reporter can hear, and the attorneys can hear. State your name for the record.
Cindy Lima.
All right.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Lima. How are you presently employed?
I'm an investigative supervisor with Child Protective Services,
And how long have you been with Child Protective Services?
going over 10 years.
Do you know an individual named Katrina Mendoza?
Yes,
Do you see her in court today?
yes.
Can you describe our court relations with you?
She's wearing red and pink sandals.
Okay. How are you familiar with Katrina?
My first encounter with her was in 2018 when I investigated a case of abuse and neglect of her children.
And who, you said her children, who are her two children?
Mercedes and Jordan Losoya.
And who was the subject of that, of the two children, who was the suspected child that was being abused?
Mercedes Losoya.
And when you investigated that case, did you meet with the girls?
I did.
Did you meet with Katrina?
I did.
How many times can you estimate that you met with them?
Maybe 7, 8 times.
Did you talk to Katrina about how to be a parent?
Yes.
Was that a brief conversation, or was this something at length that you talked about?
Lengthy conversations several times, different days.
What about classes? Did Katrina have to complete any classes or anything with CPS?
Yes.
And what kind of classes did that include?
She was, during the 2018 case, she was referred for ongoing services with the department, meaning that she needed to go through parenting, drug treatment, drug assessments, and anything else that the department recommended at that time.
And to your knowledge, did she complete those trainings?
I believe she did.
At any time, were Mercedes and Jordan removed from Katrina's custody?
Yes.
When was that?
Back in 2016.
And what was the reason for that?
Mercedes was deemed failed to thrive, and there was physical neglect in the home, and they were not able to care for the children.
And then you said you had the case in 2018, correct?
Correct.
Were there any other cases filed with CPS prior to
6.
Were you involved in those cases in any capacity?
Yes,
How so?
I was involved in the last case prior to Mercedes passing.
When was the final case that was filed? When was that?
It was November 27, 2021.
And what, if anything, happened with that case?
They were referrals that the department would receive. We were attempting to meet with the mother. I think that we met with mom a total of 4 times. Each time we were able to see the children and the mother, and we were trying to come up with some resolution on her case. We set up something that's called a family team meeting to be able to get her support network to see what was going on. There were several concerns during that case in that we needed the family support to be present in order for us to know what to do next with her case.
In any of those meetings, did Katrina ever express that one or both of her girls were being abused?
No,
Did the girls ever outcry?
no.
In general, what was the behavior of the girls when they were observed?
Just happy children, very bonded. Nothing that we could have seen.
Did the name Jose ever come up?
No,
When was the last time that CPS was able to see the girls?
the last time that CPS saw the children was January 19th of 2022
And where were the girls supposed to be living?
at the Hallmark Beltran's home, the
And who was-
godparents.
I'm sorry, just 1 second, could you repeat that, please?
Hallmark Beltran's home.
And how is Homer Beltran related to Katrina and the girls?
He is the godparent to Katrina Mendoza.
And so Katrina and the girls were supposed to be living with him.
Correct.
When was, you said January 19th, 2022 was the last time the girls were seen. Were there any other dates that were planned at that time?
Yes.
What was that?
It was January 25th of 2022.
And why is it that CPS did not see the girls that day?
Because that's when the mother and Mr. Beltran got into an altercation, and the mom left with the children from that residence.
At that time, did you have any specific concerns about the girls?
Yes.
What were those?
The family members began to speak and said that they had concerns with Katrina and her parenting in the way that she treated her children.
Did you know where she went with the girls?
No.
Did you at any time learn about a boyfriend that Katrina had?
Yeah, it was that day that we learned about a boyfriend, and the only name given was Jose.
What attempts, if any, were there to find the girls?
We tried every address that we could possibly try. We tried any phone numbers that we had for Katrina, since she had changed different numbers throughout the case. We tried going to the schools to see if the children would show up at school. We did everything we could possibly do. We have something that's called UTC checklist, which we have to complete in order for us to obtain any CPS records, any records from SAWS, anything from the community that can give us access to other addresses to find the children and the mother.
On January 25th, was there any communication from Katrina?
She had asked to reschedule the family team meeting to February 2nd, 2022.
And what happened on February 2nd?
Nobody showed up.
day was it that Mercedes passed?
It was February 7th, 2022.
I'll pass the lines.
Just briefly, you started investigating this EMS back in 2019 for what you described as neglect and failure to thrive. What would you define that?
Yeah, in 2016, there was an investigation that was deemed that the mother and the father were deemed neglectful for physical neglect of their own children.
What did you discover was the neglect?
Mercedes was failed to thrive, meaning that she wasn't getting enough feedings, and
Excuse me?
she wasn't being fed, and she wasn't getting enough nutrients on her body, so her body was not thriving.
Okay, was there any, you call that neglectful, failing to thrive, did you discover any physically assaultive type injuries at that time?
I didn't personally investigate that case.
Okay, well, I thought you first got involved in
2018.
2019. 2018, I wrote down 2019. So, but what were you investigating in 2018?
It was a physical abuse case.
And what was the ultimate ruling in that case?
It was a reason to believe, meaning guilty of physical abuse.
Was that the handprint case?
Correct.
Okay, and I think the court heard about that during the jury trial. And then moving forward, when was the next investigation?
The one that I was supervising was in 2021, November 27, 2021.
21, what were you investigating?
Physical abuse, concerns of physical abuse, and
Okay, and what was that?
we received different concerns with the way that Katrina would parent her children, and concerns that she was leaving bruises on the children.
You discovered some bruises.
There was a bruise found on Mercedes at the beginning of the case. The children were able to explain how that injury was obtained.
I'm gonna go see if he's ready real quick, and I'm gonna take this off my pocket real quick. I'm gonna take this out of my pocket. Huh? Yeah, no, I haven't done mine. I was waiting on you. But I'm just taking the stuff out of my... just so I don't have all this stuff hanging out of my pocket. You good?
Yeah, I'm just trying to...
You want to hear mine real quick?
You want to do a practice run with me, bro? We can do it over there if you want. You're good, man.
I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, got it.
Jason's texting me.
There you go.
Right here? I'm gonna have to refer to my notes too. Y'all good?
Okay, just start with your name, last name, and title.
Good. Kenny J. Mata, Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Highway Patrol. I'm with Safety Education, Media and Communications, stationed here in San Antonio. Need my email?
Sure, I'm ready.
Email?
Yeah, go for it.
Email is going to be Kenny, Kenny, .mata, M-A-T-A, at dps.texas.gov. So earlier today, Texas Department of Public Safety troopers attempted to conduct a traffic stop on a black Dodge Caravan off of IH-35 southbound in Comal County near Psalms Road for a traffic violation. The vehicle failed to comply with the traffic stop, evading law enforcement officials, reaching speeds of up to 110 miles per hour. While evading, the vehicle crashed into a white Chevrolet Tahoe off of State Loop 1604 near FM 78 in Bexar County. The trooper made contact with the suspect, who continued to. The trooper approached the suspect and made contact with him. I'm sorry. The trooper made contact with the individual, who continued to ignore commands. The trooper attempted to tase the suspect several times, but was unsuccessful, leading to an officer-involved shooting shortly after. Life-saving measures were performed on the suspect. The suspect was transported to BAMC with life-threatening injuries. The suspect was later pronounced deceased at BAMC. The suspect did have a female passenger on him. The female was transported to Northeast Methodist Hospital with unknown injuries at this time. The Chevrolet Tahoe was occupied by a male and a female. The female was transported with undisclosed injuries to Northeast Methodist Hospital as well. I think that's all I have. The Texas Rangers are assisting with the investigation at this time. There are no further details available.
Was there a struggle between the suspect and the trooper?
Right now, the Texas Rangers are still going to review the body cam footage, and they're going to review the dash cam footage, and they're going to figure out the facts of the situation.
So the trooper feared for his life, and he had to use his service weapon to defend himself?
Those answers are unknown at this time.
It was just that one person was shot.
Yes, sir.
The female wasn't